It's, as you can imagine, really exciting to be named as one of the recipients of the Guggenheim Award this year. According to their website, they have about 3,000 applicants from people in all fields of intellectual, creative, and scholarly endeavor. There are filmmakers and novelists. There are economists and physicists. There aren't a lot of people who are awarded these from the humanistic disciplines. So it's pretty exciting to be named as one of the 170 or so people who receive this award. I've received major fellowships before, but this certainly tops the list. I'm currently working on a book called Bandung Generation, Literature, Decolonization, and the Cold War. And I'm just getting started with the research, really. I've found some interesting archives about what's sometimes called cultural diplomacy during the Cold War. This was a period when both the Soviet Union and the United States were eagerly trying to solicit the loyalties of writers from the decolonizing world. So both the Soviet Union and the United States funded and hosted major international conferences, magazines, writing competitions, and other venues for writers from Sub-Saharan Africa, especially South Asia, as well as the Caribbean, to make an international name for themselves by writing in English, appealing to international audiences. And the US and the Soviet Union were both very interested in supporting their work during this period for what are arguably ulterior motives. I think this is a useful moment to study for a few important reasons. One is that I think writers from the decolonizing world had some very interesting things to say about the Cold War. They were not necessarily partisans of either side. They weren't apologists for what the Soviet Union was doing, either politically or diplomatically or aesthetically. And they weren't apologists for US foreign policy either. They were mostly neutrals, and they had some interesting and I think very significant things to say that may help us understand the moment of the Cold War and what the relationship is between Cold War and decolonization. The other reason I think it's important to study this period is that we can date the formation of a global marketplace for English literature to this period. Before World War II, before about 1950, writers from the Caribbean, from Sub-Saharan Africa, and other parts of the decolonizing world, writers in English from those regions did not have access to global literary markets. They couldn't reach audiences in the United States or North America, in Western Europe, and elsewhere. After World War II, you begin to see writers from the Caribbean and from Sub-Saharan Africa get a lot of play in Western Europe and in other places. And this is partly explained by the patronage of writers, the soft diplomacy of the United States and Soviet Union. And I don't think previous scholars have adequately recognized or accounted for that kind of aesthetic environment.